Hello and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah, and in today's video I want to share my number one zero waste or low impact hack or living habit. I do want to preface this video by saying that I personally am not living a completely zero waste life, but it is very important to me that I reduce my waste when possible. And there's definitely many YouTube channels that do an amazing job with zero waste content. Now, I definitely have watched a lot of these videos and I think there's so many amazing tips that they're sharing, but there's one key strategy that I've noticed they're not actually talking about, or at least in the ones that I have been watching, I haven't seen anyone mention this, and that is to audit your trash. Analyze the waste that you are creating. It is absolutely essential that we start there before we make any other zero waste swaps. You see, there's lots of different guides and videos where it's suggested to use different things, which I think can be awesome, but if you were never using that thing to begin with, then there's no need to invest in a different product to use for a more zero waste lifestyle. So that's, I think, the bottom line here. No matter what your level is, whether you're just starting out or you've been living a low impact lifestyle for a longer period of time, if we can analyze the waste that we're creating, we can then better identify how it's best for us to move on. For instance, in the United States, there's currently a large push to get rid of straws. And I've seen several different restaurants and retailers no longer carrying straws, which I think is awesome. But I have to admit, I'm not a straw person. I don't need a straw. For those who use straws on a regular basis, I think investing in some sort of reusable straw option would be amazing. Whether that's things like glass or stainless steel straws, that would be an amazing option. But if you never use straws, that's not something you need to invest in. So I think that's a really important lens to view the low impact or zero waste movement. Look at what your trash is or your waste is, and then decide how you can reduce that using your specific situation. You want to tailor the zero waste swaps that you make to what you actually consume. Unfortunately, it is still not super common in certain areas to be practicing a more low impact or zero waste lifestyle, and that can feel kind of uncomfortable. So it's really important that you make yourself feel as comfortable as possible when you are making these swaps, so you don't feel like it's worth it to just give up and go back to living a very standard and more wasteful lifestyle. If we're able to do things that make us feel good and help us feel comfortable, we're going to be able to continue those habits longer and they'll become part of our everyday life. Lastly, it is important to invest in certain tools that are going to help support us on this journey when needed. Of course, not everything needs an additional purchase, but certain reusable items will really add up with savings in the long run, both savings environmentally as well as financially. That all being said, I want to share my personal top 10 swaps that I have made or want to continue making more often to help reduce my waste. First of all, I have reduced my purchasing of Kleenex as well as paper towels, and instead I just use some simple rags. Now, if you are looking to make your own Kleenex or paper towel type rags, it's really easy to take any old piece of clothing. Let's say maybe you realize you don't want to wear it anymore, but it's fallen apart to the point that you can't actually give it to someone else or donate it because it's in such bad shape. Those are the perfect options for these. Now, if you've got any really soft and thin t-shirts. I know this was a t-shirt, but it was so thin, it was see-through, definitely not wearable anymore. So I just cut these up. I turned most of them into Kleenex sized rags, but then I also cut up a few smaller that I use for my face if I'm putting on a toner or something, and I don't have to use any disposable products for that. So that's an option. Again, I'm not a seamstress. I didn't sew anything around the edge, but they've been holding up pretty fine, and then you just wash them when you're done. This was an old pair of capris. These are a little bit more sturdy of a cloth, and I can use them for wiping things up just like someone might use a paper towel. Using these instead obviously saves a lot of money and is much less wasteful. Now, using your own reusable containers is really a great approach for so many things instead of using plastic wrap or plastic bags, that kind of thing. But one area a lot of people don't always think about is to actually bring one of these in a bag with you when you are going to a restaurant. Oftentimes, we go to a restaurant, we might not eat our whole portion and we want to take it home, but if we're not prepared, now we have another box or container of some sort that is likely going to have to be thrown away or recycled when done. If you know you're not going to eat your whole meal, bring one of these that you can transfer your leftovers in. The next essential swap that I've made has been with produce bags or bulk bin bags. And I've got a couple of them here. These bags are part of a set of 8 bags that I received from Simply Eco. I do want to say thank you to Simply Eco for partnering with me on this video. I had a set of produce bags from like 5 years ago that I had purchased, and they were okay, but they were starting to fall apart a little bit, and there were a few like inconveniences that I didn't really like about them, that these are a huge upgrade. I do love that they're organic cotton. In the past, my bags were just like a plasticky, meshy kind of thing, and it makes sense if you're buying like organic food, why would you want to put them in a not organic bag? One thing I also really like about these bags that I haven't seen on other ones is that it actually has the tear weight listed on the tag. This kind of fits into what I was talking about earlier in the video, how you want to make sure you're using things that make you feel comfortable. And for whatever reason, maybe it's just that I don't feel like I want to cause too much trouble. Sometimes I would kind of get embarrassed by having to have my tear weight like written down or pulled up on my phone for the reusable bags. And sometimes I would feel so embarrassed about that, I either wouldn't use the reusable bag or I would just not take off the tear weight, but that does mean I was paying a little bit more than I needed. But the fact that it has the weight on here makes it really easy for the cashier to discount that weight when calculating how much you owe for that particular item. So this is something that makes it easier for me to want to use the bags. I also think I struggled before because the set of bags I got were all the same size and it didn't really fit my needs. For instance, at the moment, the item that I buy most often where I would use a produce bag is like a large head of kale, and that didn't fit in my bags. But I was really happy this set does include a large bag specifically for leafy greens, and you can just pop them in here. I just feel a lot better about that instead of having to use the plastic bag just because I needed a larger size. And in the set, there are several smaller meshy bags, which are great for produce, like larger produce. And then there's also several bags that are like solid, so you can put smaller items in, and there's even a little spot where you can kind of view what you have, which makes it a little bit easier for either the cashier to see it, as well as for you to see what you have in what bag. I love that I can use these both for bulk bins as well as produce, since that is a large percentage of the foods that I'm consuming, and it prevents me from needing to use packaging on these different categories. As well as it encourages me to purchase more of the fresh, unpackaged version than the ones that come in a plastic tub. And while the Simply Eco produce bags and bulk bin bags were the best fit for me, they actually do have other products, specifically different sandwich bags and wraps. So if you need to pack up your food or you often bring a sandwich to work or school, that could be a really great option, as well as some reusable straws. So if you are a straw person, these are definitely things that you could check out as well. And I have the link to their store in the description field below. Another important swap is silverware. If you are going out to eat or in places where they just have plastic utensils, that can be frustrating, but you don't have to go out and buy like bamboo utensils. Even though that's cool, you can just use one of your sets from home. You can even wrap it up with one of those rags and use it as a napkin. You can decide how it's best to transport it, but again, you don't have to go out and buy some of these things. Just take one from home, bring it with you, and have it on hand. One of the areas that we are the worst at is with purchasing store-bought almond milk. Now, it's certainly not the most wasteful thing that we could be purchasing, but we usually go through about 1 carton per week when we are using store-bought almond milk. I do keep hemp seeds on hand, and I have found that hemp seeds, not only are they amazingly healthy, but they are the easiest and I think most affordable out of the different milks I have made at home that's turned out well. I've tried making oat milk a couple times, but it just wasn't very good. It was a little gummy, so I'll need to work more on that because that would also be an affordable option. I really want to start making more of my own non-dairy milk, and I'm hopeful that as my schedule is shifting around a little bit that I'll be able to make more of that switch and make it more often, so it's not necessarily a convenience thing. A few more standard options I'm sure you've already heard about, but having a reusable water bottle is incredible, as well as a reusable bag of some sort that's a larger bag. I usually do have a reusable water bottle with me at all times. I go somewhere, I really don't want to get caught without water and have to buy the plastic bottle. Currently, the main one I've been using is in the dishwasher, so not clean at the moment. You want to make sure you wash them regularly. But stainless steel, I think, is the best. Glass is another option, but stainless steel often will help insulate your beverage better, which on hot summer days is an essential. And with a reusable bag, try to make it easy for yourself to use them if you've had a hard time sticking to that habit. Stick some in your trunk of your car, or leave them where you'll grab them before you head out the door. Make it convenient for yourself so you don't forget them. And what I love about them too is that you can use them for other things besides your grocery shopping or other shopping. This is something I am going to be decluttering, but a reusable lunch container like this, or lunch box, can be essential to reduce waste. If you're using plastic bags or brown paper bags, this could be an important upgrade. Mine's looking a little dingy because I used this for 5 years as a teacher. And lastly, I have a receipt here. This is mostly kind of a symbolic piece, something that I'd like to continue getting better at, but I think just in general, when we are looking at ways that we can waste less, if we shop less, then we're wasting less. Not only in terms of receipts, since unfortunately, oftentimes receipts just pop out no matter what. Even if you don't personally take the receipt, oftentimes the person, when they ask you if you want a receipt, they just have to throw it away then. And because of like the different type of like plasticky coatings, a lot of receipts you can't actually recycle either, which is unfortunate. And when we think about our items and purchasing items, unfortunately, most consumption has many layers of waste along the way. We have to really look at the full picture. How are materials made? How are they packaged? How are they transported? How are you using them? And then what happens after? The full life cycle of our items can be pretty wasteful. Now, it's not to say consumption is evil. There are different items that we do actually need and that we do actually use. And in which case, those are not what we're talking about. But if you are purchasing or bringing in unnecessary items into your life, try to be aware of the different layers of that. And that's where I think minimalism and low impact or zero waste living go hand in hand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, and maybe it will help you think a little bit more about some of the waste that you're creating and how you might be able to swap that out. I'll put some other videos you might enjoy here, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, you can do so up here. We'll see you next time. Bye.